Alright guys, I am making this video to talk about the military. Like I have promised like different avenue I could pursue in the military. A little context to this, some of you may know that I got rejected from the commissioning board in the Air Force National Guard, and I am making this video to tell you what other avenue I could pursue. What other avenue I could pursue. Some of you guys have been giving me some useful comments on like some suggestions and stuff, and that's not really far from actually what I was going to do to begin with. Um, don't mind me. I'm walking. I'm about to go for a run because you need to chase excellent, right? Even though you might hit some wall or failures. So little context is I went up for a board to try to commission. I've been trying to commission for the last 3 to 4 years now, and it's going to be a long process. And now I think I made a few enemies in in the Air Force unit because I accidentally sent my flight commander a text saying that they're very tribal, right? Guard is very tribal, and that's very true. Guard tend to be a little more tribal than the other two components of the Air Force. So I don't want to waste time talking about that. What I want to talk about is the next avenue and what I could do for the future. So the first step, the first avenue I could pursue is to stay in the National Guard, stay here, try to improve my reputation, and when they have another board coming up, then I could apply to that. Now, the Guard is like when they have open, like usually there'll be one slot open at a time. I could apply to that, and we'll kind of see what what they'll say. But then like there'll be 10 different applicants, and there'll be just one of me, like, and there'll be only one slot, and I need to compete with that. And even though I have very high academic resume and a very high like motivation, you tend to lose out to people who've been there for 20 years. People who've been there longer, they get seniority that way. So that's just kind of one bad thing about that. The second avenue to pursue, and this is probably more likely, is to apply to different branches. Now we'll break down those branches as we walk and we make this video. So the first branch is the Army. Now, the Army, all three components said they'll commission me tomorrow, right? The Army is the largest branch, and so they have the most slot and opening to get into the Army. Now, the problem with the Army is that I would have to do basic military training all over again. All the yelling, all the screaming, all the freedom that you have taken away. And that's not even why I don't want to do it, because whatever, I already done it. Just go do it for 10 weeks, right? The problem is that you have to do basic training again before you can even go into OCS, which is Officer Candidate School, right? So that would make it like 10 weeks of basic military training plus 1 to 2 weeks of in processing, and while you're still getting yelled at. So that would bring the total of basic training up to maybe 12 weeks. And then you go to OCS, which is another 12 weeks. So that's together it's 6 months. I would be away from my family, and I just have my daughter is still 2 years old, and I don't want her to be away from her dad for too long. So 6 months, and that's even before Bolix, which is where they sent you to learn your skills. So that's kind of like, if you're in the Air Force, that's kind of like the Air Force Tech School and stuff like that. So that's the problem with the Army. The Army has this type of stringent where you have to go to basic again and stuff like that. So I think that's also why it's so hard to commit, like so hard for them to find people. That's why that it's so easy to get into the Army as an officer, because they have this huge requirements to get into the Army. So a lot of people would be like, you know what, I'll apply to somewhere else instead, or I just won't go. I'll just be unemployed. So that's the first branch. The second branch is the Navy. Now, the Navy and the Air Force, they they tend to have a lot of the same culture when it comes to training and stuff like that. And I really am considering the Navy, but the problem with the Navy is that they will not commission anyone into the reserve, and that's what I want to do. I want to do a part-time component in the military right now. I don't want to go to active duty because my wife is still in medical school. She's in a pharmacy school, a PharmD program, so she's not going to be done until 2025, I believe. So I can't go active right now. I would like to stay in the reserve or in the guard or something, or a part-time component. Um, so so the Navy, they'll commission me active duty, right? Like, but they only will commission me active duty as a SLAW officer, which is a surface warfare officer, and that kind of thing is your that kind of like MOS, or that kind of job is to stay in on the boat, or the ship or submarine, and kind of command the ship around. You're underneath a captain or commander that's commanding the vessel, and you're just kind of learning from him, and then eventually you'll be able to command the vessel as well. And if the commander is sick, then you take the bridge, and then you can like command how the ship operate and stuff. I just, my focus is on engineering. I have a physics degree, and I'm working as an engineer right now. So I don't know if I want to do that too much. The second thing I could do, well, and before you can go into like nuclear, which is what I want to do. Now there's a reserve component where they will commission me directly into a nuke program, because nuclear is a specialty, but that's extremely competitive. They'll commission me right into the reserve. I could be a nuclear specialist on a ship. So if they decide to, like, oh, I need you, deploy me into a ship, or they could put me into a nuclear reactor, which is what I want to do in Washington, D.C., right? Or they could put me into as an instructor to teach about nuclear. And that's something that's up my alley. Like, I wanted to do nuclear engineering to begin with, so that's going to give me a leg up. But like, that's very competitive apparently, because everyone has an engineering degree nowadays. I don't know why it's so damn competitive. So that's the Navy, and that's the caveat with the Navy. The next is the Coast Guard, and the Coast Guard is like the branch that is appealing the most to me, but I miss the board for the reserve. So the Coast Guard has its own like branch, of course. It's a sister branch of the Navy, and it's a smaller branch, and it's actually like right now, like the branch that's associated with my wife's branch the most, which is the United States Public Health Service Commission Corps, because the Coast Guard does not have a medical corps. USPSS only have medical corps, so they kind of utilize each other, for their mission. So that would be great. I could get into that commission corps and eventually go active duty. My wife can go active duty, and then we can be stationed together. But the problem with Coast Guard is it's such a small branch. It's actually very competitive to get in. The OCS, 17 weeks. It's long, but whatever. But you could also direct commission in. Now, they don't send you to OCS as a civilian right into the reserve, right? They want you to go into active duty first, kind of like the Navy, but they do have a program called direct commissioning for the reserve, but it's only once a year. It's extremely competitive, but they said, you have a STEM degree, you are prior service, prior military service, so you have a really good fighting chance to get in, but I have to wait for next June, because this is July right now. I found out about it late June, and you need to submit your package the beginning of June. It's June 5th. So I missed the cycle. So I have to wait another year, wasting more of my time, waiting for them to commission me. So these are my main options. I could commission into, like the Marine, but I really don't want to do the Marine. I feel like Army is more appealing than the Marine Corps. And then, you have the other commission corps, Uniform Service Corps, that's non-DODs, which is USPSS, which is my wife's branch. I don't have a medical degree, and there is the NOAA branch, which, you know, I really don't want, like, there's no reason for me to go in the NOAA core. I don't really see the point in it. So, you know, like that's kind of my option right now. It's a lot easier if I'm just gonna go out active duty to begin, to be honest. And I am open to it. I just can't do it right now, you know. And so we'll see. I got, with the rejection that I got from the Air Force National Guard, they recommend me to go into the JAG Corps, which is the lawyer corps, because they know that I'm studying to be a lawyer in the near future. Of course, they want me to commission me like that because they can't find enough lawyers, right? They can't find enough people with a law degree. But that's 3 years of law school that I would have to go through, not to mention the LSAT. I haven't even taken the LSAT yet. So I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. Well, you know, like something that you need to know about the military as a whole is if you have an advanced degree that no one else has, like an MD/DO, a JD, you know, like a law degree that you pass a bar exam for, they'll literally commission you right away because it's a huge pay cut to be there, and they can't find enough people to be in there. Instead of like paying people more, you know, raising their rank, you know, getting them in that way, they rather just, you know, complain about not having enough lawyers or not having enough doctors, even though they'll rank cap as captain or major, you know. So that's kind of my choices right now. If you have any other suggestion, comment below. I don't think I miss anything else, really. If I'm missing anything else, let me know. So we'll see. Oh, of course, Space Force, active duty only. So that's out of the question. And of course, commissioning into active duty, Space Force and Air Force is difficult. It's the most desirable branch to commission into right now. So like they have the AFOQT where they won't even look at your thing unless you're at the top 80 percentile, and it's Space Force, like the top 90th percentile. They won't even look at you, you know. So yep. So I don't think I have anything else. Yeah, if I miss anything, comment below, thumbs up, you know, like the video, and yeah, I'll keep you guys updated. Bye.